In this lesson, you will learn how to interpret two important labor market indicators: jobless claims and job cuts. By the end of this lesson, you will understand what these indicators measure, why they matter for the economy, and how traders and analysts use them to assess the strength of the labor market. The labor market is one of the most important indicators of economic health. When employment is strong, people have stable income, consumer spending remains active, and businesses continue to grow. On the other hand, when unemployment rises, economic activity can slow down. For this reason, economists, investors, and policymakers closely monitor labor market data to understand where the economy might be heading. Two key indicators that provide early insights into labor market conditions are jobless claims and job cuts. These indicators help us evaluate whether companies are holding on to workers or beginning to reduce their workforce. Let's begin by understanding the first indicator: jobless claims. Jobless claims measure the number of individuals who file for unemployment benefits for the first time during a given week. This data is released weekly and is considered one of the most timely indicators of labor market conditions. There are two main components. Initial jobless claims represent people applying for unemployment benefits for the first time. Continuing claims represent individuals who remain unemployed and continue receiving benefits. Because this data is released every week, it provides an early signal of changes in employment trends. When jobless claims remain low, it suggests that companies are not laying off large numbers of workers. This indicates a strong and stable labor market. However, when jobless claims begin to rise significantly over several weeks, it may signal that layoffs are increasing and that economic conditions could be weakening. For traders and analysts, a sudden increase in jobless claims can be an early warning sign of a potential slowdown in the economy. Another useful indicator is the job cuts report, often published by Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. This report tracks corporate announcements of planned layoffs across different industries. Unlike jobless claims, which measure actual unemployment filings, job cuts measure the number of layoffs that companies announce publicly. This makes job cuts a forward-looking indicator because it shows how businesses are planning to adjust their workforce in response to economic conditions. For example, during periods of economic uncertainty, companies may announce large layoffs in order to reduce costs. However, if job cuts remain relatively low, it suggests that companies remain confident in economic conditions and are trying to retain their employees. Comparing job cuts with jobless claims can provide deeper insight into the overall health of the labor market. When analyzing labor market conditions, it is important to look at both indicators together. A strong labor market typically shows the following characteristics. Jobless claims remain relatively low and stable. Corporate job cuts remain limited. Companies continue to maintain their workforce. These signals suggest that employment conditions remain healthy and that the economy is operating with stability. On the other hand, warning signs of labor market weakness may include a consistent increase in jobless claims, a surge in corporate layoffs, or widespread job cuts across multiple industries. When these trends appear, economists and investors begin to watch closely for potential economic slowdowns. Labor market indicators are not only important for understanding the economy, but they also play a major role in financial markets. Strong employment conditions can support consumer spending, which contributes to economic growth. However, a strong labor market can also contribute to inflation, especially if wages begin rising quickly. Because of this, central banks such as the Federal Reserve carefully monitor labor market data when making decisions about interest rates. If the labor market remains strong, policymakers may keep interest rates higher in order to control inflation. For financial markets, this can influence bond yields, stock prices, and currency movements. This is why traders and investors pay close attention to labor market indicators like jobless claims and job cuts. For market participants, the key takeaway is to monitor trends rather than focusing on a single data release. A one-week increase in jobless claims does not necessarily signal economic weakness. However, if claims begin rising steadily over several weeks and corporate layoffs increase at the same time, it may indicate that the labor market is beginning to weaken. Understanding these trends helps analysts and traders anticipate changes in economic momentum and adjust their expectations accordingly. Let's quickly review the key points from this lesson. Jobless claims measure the number of individuals applying for unemployment benefits and provide an early indicator of labor market conditions. Job cuts track corporate announcements of layoffs and offer insight into how companies are adjusting their workforce. When jobless claims remain low and job cuts are limited, it suggests that the labor market is strong and stable. However, rising claims and increasing layoffs may signal potential economic weakness. By monitoring these indicators, analysts and investors gain valuable insights into the direction of the economy and potential market impacts. Understanding labor market indicators is an important step in developing a deeper awareness of economic trends. As you continue learning about economic data and market indicators, these insights will help you interpret news releases and understand how they influence financial markets. In the next lesson, we will explore another key economic indicator and how it affects the broader economic landscape.